Having a clear and realistic understanding of each other's expectations is a key component to a successful marriage. On today's case, Mr. Sequera says, forget being on the same page. When it comes to their expectations, he and his wife may as well be in different books. He says he is tired of his wife's hectic work schedule, her lack of communication, and her lack of interest in sex. He's here in my courtroom to find a resolution. Let's hear their case.
Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Starr presiding. Your Honor, this is the case of Sequera versus Sequera.
Okay, Mr. Sequera, Ms. Sequera. Mr. Sequera, you say your marriage is in crisis. You believe your wife has one foot out the door, and today you want the truth from her.
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mrs. Sequera, you say your husband is overbearing, and it's him, not you, who has to make changes. You are hoping to resolve those issues.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Sequera, it seems that you all have been together for 7 years. You've been married for 2 years. You have one child together. I understand, Mrs. Sequera, you are pregnant now.
Yes, I am.
So this is very important because it's a family that we are discussing, not just two young people who are married. Mr. Sequera, why are we in court today?
I want to save my marriage and to prove that no fight now, as important or trivial as it may be, or later, is worth sacrificing our marriage and our family for.
Okay, Mrs. Sequera, Mr. Sequera seems to think that the arguments that have been going on have become so intense that somebody's thinking of leaving the marriage, but he thinks it can be saved. What do you say?
I say that if he doesn't take things seriously and make a change, then this is not a marriage that I would want to continue on with. I want an environment where our children can see their parents happy, not just arguing every day and negative, and know that that's the image that they're gonna grow up to and pick partners based off of that.
I think you're 100% correct because the two of you are the only people that are gonna be really influencing these children. Why don't you take me back to how you all met and then how we ended up in divorce court today?
We were high school sweethearts, and things were great the first couple of years. Then afterwards, we moved together, we had our baby, well, we got married, we had our baby. It became one of those where I started repeating most of my issues over and over again, and it felt as if though it was falling on deaf ears. Like if it was really as important as she portrayed it to be, she would put more of an effort to change those things.
Do you both work outside of the home or inside of the home?
I'm currently the housewife.
You're the primary breadwinner for the home.
Yes, Your Honor.
So let me ask you both, honestly. Does that work for you, Mr. Sequera?
I can make it work, yes, but I'm not one to be fond of being just at home all day.
Mrs. Sequera, does that work for you?
It does. I am not fond of, I get a little depressed being at home all day. He is better with housework, and I am better as the breadwinner. I always tend to make a little bit more money than he does.
Okay. Do you have conflict around the fact that she's working outside of the home?
Mainly for moments where I tell her not to work on weekends because the way I was raised was very traditional and the weekends is family time.
I know, but what kind of work do you do, Ms. Sequera?
I work in the restaurant business, so I do a little bit of barista work. I make latte art and fancy drinks for nice places in downtown.
Fabulous. But I can guarantee you they're going to want her to work on the weekends.
Yes, Your Honor.
I don't even know the situation, but that's where you make your money. So if she's in charge of the house, when she gets her hours assigned, do you want her not to work?
You know, I understand people get sick, some people don't show up. Like she'll find out on a Wednesday and maybe forget that whole till Friday, and come Saturday, she's like, oh, sorry, I forgot to tell you that I have to come into work tomorrow.
Okay, Mrs. Sequera, I understand Mr. Sequera needs to have you communicate more effectively. Would you agree with him that often happens?
I do communicate with him the best that I can, but he has a tendency to try to micromanage me in ways that make me feel like a child. If I come home too late, if I work a little overtime, it becomes an issue and an argument. And as far as that goes,
well, I don't understand why there's an argument. If you all have set up the dynamic that Mrs. Sequera goes out and basically makes the donuts and brings the money back into the house, why would you have a problem with her working the hours that she's working? I'm confused.
Because then she would also, I understand that some people like to vent, but I'm not one to be told a problem and not fix it, if not immediately, just through time. And most of the time, she comes to me at a problem like, they had me work the weekend. And I'm like, well, then simply tell them you don't want to. And they hire her as a barista, but then having her do managing jobs, and she complains to me about it. The only thing I can think of is telling her is then just not do those things if you don't feel comfortable doing so.
Ms. Sequera, it doesn't seem like you have a whole lot of freedom at this employment situation.
Definitely. That goes back to the whole micromanaging. I'm very much on a time crunch always, as if I'm a child. For example, if I want to get my nails done, I'll be there for an hour, let's say, and I like to go the full set. I like to get a whole acrylic with the gel, the diamonds, make it look very nice. And we all know as women that takes a long time. After an hour, the lady will have just put my nails on and he'll call me, "You're taking too long." Why is it taking so long? And
it takes how long it take? I don't understand.
It'll take 2 hours, maybe 3, but
no, but whatever it takes.
It's
and
my
then
nails.
also the nail time is like a relaxation time.
It's my spa time. That's for me to relax, and I do communicate. Like if I'm doing something that's going to take a large amount of time, he always has my location on. I always try to hang out with the same people. But for example, if I am going to go to somebody's house, I'll let them know I'm going to go to Ashley's house, and I'll make a stop to McDonald's to grab a drink or to Starbucks. As soon as I tell them, "Oh, I stopped at Starbucks," I'm like, "Why didn't you tell me before that you were going to stop?" I say, "I can't trust the things that you say." It's a little controlling sometimes.
Oh, I see.
That's
so
what
it's
I mean by a
nitpicky.
child. You know, it doesn't make me feel beautiful. You know, when it comes to being sexual, there's no initiation. It's just do it.
Simply put, she was raised by a pastor. I was raised by the streets.
Something tells me that's not it.
Even sometimes if I do communicate, maybe a little closer to the time that I'm expected to be home, it still becomes an argument. You know, for example, I went to a friend's birthday party. Somebody gave me a ride there. And we had arrived maybe at 8 o'clock. It was nearing 10 o'clock, which is the time that I said that I was going to come home. But because the party was still going on, and I didn't want to take away from the fun that my friend was having, because if I left, that means she would have to leave to take me, and that would ruin her party. I did reach out and say, "Hey, I'm going to stay a little bit later." And it was just like, "Why didn't you plan it better? Why do you have to, you know, hang out with these people that I'm not very fond
Wait till 10
of?"
to tell me. Like if you would have seen that the party's still going and you would have gone to your friend, "Hey, do you think you're going to stay here a little longer? Do you think the party's going to still be going for another hour or two?" And then tell me, I have no problem. But at 10?
But how late are we talking? Are we saying you stayed another hour or another 3 hours?
I stayed another 2 hours. I came home at around 12.
Okay. And did you have plans with her in that 2-hour period?
No, but I would have liked to have had her home since she claimed to will be home at that time.
I know, but she would have liked to be able to spend a couple extra hours. I don't understand. It sounds like you like her to be out making the money and being a breadwinner, but you want to control all aspects of her social life.
It's not necessarily control as much of awareness. I would at least like to be told in advance. I do not want to be the last party in the group to know.
Okay. So Mr. Sequera is saying there could be more courtesy in this relationship. Do you agree with that, Ms. Sequera?
You know, I could have maybe messaged an hour earlier that I would be staying later at the party, give him a time frame.
Ms. Sequera, what is this about? Because I can see, I'm looking at you. You look beat down. I'm not gonna lie. You look beat down. You look tired. You're a beautiful lady, but you look tired. You look like you're not happy.
I still feel like I'm coddled, like I am being surveillanced by a father. And it's depressing, really.
I can see it.
Yeah.
Mr. Sequera, do you see that in your wife?
Yes, and
She's
I very
not
much
happy.
try to help her. I very much try, but it comes down to lack of communication and fairness. For example, I used to be a very social person before. She's not as social as the story right now presents her. She may go on a party once a year. I used to go out a lot, and she used to always try to bribe me with sexual deeds to have me come home early.
But you also just told me she may go out once a year.
Yeah, but you still told me you're going to be home at 10.
I know, but she's out once a year.
It's about commitment. If you tell me
No, it's not
something-
about commitment. It's about she's 24 and she wants to be out one time. No, most people try to go out once a week, but if you're not even saying that this is regular. You're not even telling me this is a bar hopping chick. You're saying she may go out once a year. Let's just extend it 3 times a year. So you just need to chill for an extra 2 hours.
I've told her before, I have faith in what you say, but not in what you'll do. If you
But
tell
you
me,
also keep saying, I tell her, I told her. It doesn't sound like you share anything. You are telling her what to do. Now, am I misinterpreting that, Ms. Sequera?
No, Your Honor. It's as you said. It's suffocating. Is it the dynamic? No. Does he try to in his way? I have noticed that he does try, but he's still cold. You can tell he's still bothered. The air is very uncomfortable. You know, it's not very welcoming.
Is that why there's there's a lack of intimacy in your relationship?
Partly.
Mr. Sequera? Because I see in my court papers, you miss some of the affection that you used to get in a relationship.
Yes, Your Honor, and that comes more from, I believe, like, I can tell you you're as beautiful as the night sky 1,000 times, and I can truly mean it, but if you never believe yourself to be as beautiful as I claim, nothing will change within you.
Well, I cannot believe that Ms. Sequera does not know she's beautiful. Ms. Sequera is gorgeous.
She is, and I remind her that every day, but she doesn't believe it enough to feel comfortable in her own skin to want to show that form of affection.
Something tells me that's not it.
Yeah, but saying that I'm beautiful and showing me that I'm beautiful or that I'm worth anything is different. Especially when it's a lot of, no, you can't do this, or you're wrong for feeling this, or, you know, it doesn't make me feel beautiful. You know, when it comes to being sexual, there's no initiation, it's just do it.
Simply put, she was raised by a pastor. I was raised by the streets.
Mrs. Sequera is holding it down so much that she's losing herself. And if she loses herself, you will lose your wife. And Mrs. Sequera's reaction right now is telling me that I am hitting a nerve. If you'd like your case to be heard on divorce court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or log on to our website at divorcecourt.com. Missed a show? Watch full episodes on our streaming platforms and follow us on social media for exclusive content. Ms. Sequera, do you have the ability to communicate your needs, what it is that you want, how you need to feel? Have you tried that?
I have tried it, and sometimes he's a little insensitive. Like, if the way I'm feeling is wrong, or he gets very factual sometimes about, you know, how I'm feeling is wrong and why I shouldn't feel that way.
So in other words, whenever you initiate this kind of conversation, you get a lecture.
Yes.
Rather than understanding.
Exactly. And
I can guarantee you that Mr. Sequera can be lecturing, because I can hear it. Ms. Sequera, you are depressed and you are unhappy. I can tell that.
I am very unhappy right now. It's a lot of me having to understand his feelings and kind of bite the bullet, because I, again, give my feelings and it becomes a lecture, becomes an argument. When I say things like, I don't know what to say, it's because I got his point, and his point is he doesn't want to hear anything else what I have to say. He wants me to say his feelings and validate him in the moment.
Lies. I try not to be too cocky, but I pride myself in very much understanding, and my wife has been the type to convince herself of a lie she said at the moment. If she says she doesn't know what to say, it's more her not wanting to admit something, whether she did it wrong or not, and silencing herself. She comes at me.
I'm looking at your wife's face.
Yeah, she comes at me for her problem.
It's as if she sits here thinking, here we go again. Ms. Sequera, am I interpreting this correctly?
Yes, you are.
You have a whole lot of requirements.
And these are requirements I've had.
Excuse me.
Sorry.
You also need to be a little respectful.
Understandably.
you sound like you have a whole lot of requirements. This young lady is busting her butt to bring money into this family. I'd love to hear a little gratitude. That's what I'd love to hear. And a little humility. Mm-hmm. The dynamic of this family, if that's what works for you. But in all honesty, Mr. Sequera, I think you would probably do well to find some sort of work outside of the home that can satisfy your need for order. I think that would be helpful to you and to this marriage, because Mrs. Sequera is holding it down so much that she's losing herself. And if she loses herself, you will lose your wife. And Mrs. Sequera's reaction right now is telling me that I am hitting a nerve, that I am expressing to you something that she has either been trying to express and you have not heard, or she has been unable to express, and she's finally hearing somebody validate how she's feeling. Mrs. Sequera, did I summarize that pretty accurately?
Yes, you did, Your Honor. I couldn't have said it better. I pictured a life for us, and it's not going the way that I thought it would. And if there isn't those changes, I'm afraid that, you know, this relationship is not gonna it's gonna be no more. Because I don't want my daughter growing up and being in the same position, feeling pressed almost. And he has many great qualities that he doesn't want to work on. And if that doesn't change, then I don't want the same thing over and over again. You know, I don't want to live like this always.
I think you would benefit, both of you would benefit from some marriage counseling to help you communicate with each other in ways that speak to your love languages so that the other one can hear it. I'd be willing to give you that marriage counseling if you'd be willing to shh your mouth, walk in there with an open heart and a desire to hear your wife for the first time. I'd be willing to give you that.
Okay.
Mrs. Sequera, would you be willing to participate?
Yes, Your Honor.
I feel as if I were in her position telling you her story, it would still very much be my fault, in the sense that prior to now, I gave her my all. The reason why I may seem like the bad guy is because it got to the point in where I didn't feel appreciated. Like, all the effort I put into this isn't
I don't
met.
even see you as a bad guy. I don't know where that comes from.
Before I met my wife, I was the worst person. My friends and family all hated me. I had friends that were very close friends, and in their eyes, I was their best friend, but I've had their girl cheat on them with me before.
Mr. Sequera, I'm telling you right now, the fact that you're even having this conversation with me and your wife was just crying and emotionally distraught, and you did not walk over to her to try to comfort her.
She wouldn't accept it. I've tried it before.
Mrs. Sequera, I offered counseling to the two of you, but I'd also offer individual counseling for you. Mr. Sequera will find himself or he won't, but you need to find yourself again.
Yes, Your Honor.
You do need to find yourself again. And I think you understand exactly what I'm saying. And whether or not you all end up staying together, that'll be your choice once you're a whole human being again, because you're not there right now. You've lost yourself. And Mr. Sequera, if you don't get out of your own way, when she finds herself, you will find yourself without a wife. As a father, Robert, how difficult was that for you to watch?
It was so tough. He thinks because he retired from being a hoe, he got his certificate and PhD, so let me be the professor and tell her what she should and should not do.
And you know what? The depression that this young lady feels is because of his lecturing professorial style. Once she really gets that self-esteem back, she about to roll out, and I'm glad for her.
Made in Georgia.